A lot of people want Chris Grier fired. I might be one of them. But on today's show, we are going to talk about one of the reasons why he might get fired and the fatal error that maybe not and didn't cost the season of the Dolphins, but did, impact how bad this team is actually playing. What could that error be? Well, it has to do with the safety room because this group has been, oh boy, really, really bad this season. And Jevon Holland and Jordan Poyer have been one of the worst duos in all of football in terms of the safety department. And we're going to talk about why they have been so bad and what their statistics are. But make sure you follow us over on Instagram. We're posting daily content, whether it's short form Instagram reels, posts, whatever you want to say. We have you covered. This is the last, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 posts. You see there's an array of different types of content. If you want to be covered on the Dolphins 365, 24/7, in between our YouTube videos, make sure you're following us over at Instagram. Dolphins Today IG is the handle. All right, when you really break it down, the Miami Dolphins have the worst starting safety tandem in the NFL. Jordan Poyer and Jevon Holland have been absolutely atrocious this season. And they can't cover. They can't tackle. They can't do anything. It's like that Stephen A. Smith rant on Kwame Brown or whatever it is. He can't move his feet. He can't catch the ball. It's been terrible. You see the coverage stats. That's the most abysmal part here. They're just so bad. It's hard to put into words how bad they are. And it's the reason why we've seen tight ends constantly cook the Miami Dolphins. Trey McBride went nuclear against us. You saw Austin Hooper and Hunter Henry have a good game for New England just a couple of weeks ago. Brock Bowers. Yes, Brock Bowers has been the best tight end in football over the past month, but he cooked you beyond belief. These two, no matter how you want to slice it, have been horrible. And where do they rank in the PFF rankings? Barely startable. This is out of 91, 62, and 63. Just fun question for you guys at home, if you're keeping track. There's 32 NFL teams, 2 starting safeties, 32 times 2, quick math, 64. 62 and 63. Guys, they're barely qualifying enough to be starting safeties according to Pro Football Focus. And we always say it, and I'll say it again. It is not the gospel. PFF is not everything. But when the eye test tells you they've been bad, and then PFF backs it up with them being 2 of the worst safeties in the entire NFL and barely startable, it makes you wonder how Chris Grier thought these 2 were going to work out in the offseason, especially when you look at how well a couple other guys have been at different spots. We'll talk about those 2 guys in just a second. But do you blame Chris Grier for the issues that the Miami Dolphins have had this season? Some could be blamed on Tua missing 4 games. Some could blame it on Mike McDaniel. But let me know if you think it's Chris Grier's fault. Comment below, type Y for yes or type N for no. The coverage stats have been bad for these 2. What's arguably worse is their run defense. Jevon Holland this year has missed 6 tackles. He has a missed tackle percentage of 12.5. Jordan Poyer has missed 7 tackles. His percentage is 9.5%. And the reason why the percentages are so different as well, Jordan Poyer has played a couple more games than Jevon Holland, and Jevon Holland just has had more opportunities, or I should say less opportunities to make a tackle, and has missed just about the same rate. Jevon Holland has been terrible at tackling, and we have to have a conversation about Jevon Holland, which we will have at the end of today's show. But then when you have him tweeting this out over the weekend about Dolphins fans just being mad for no reason, go touch grass, Jevon, what are we doing? Seriously. Dolphins fans are calling you out. I get it. You're not going to be happy about that. But just stay off social media. I'm scrolling through his Twitter page. I cover 2 sports teams, the Dolphins and the Heat, for a living, and Jevon Holland arguably tweets more than me. That's hard to do. The guy lives on social media if you just look at his Twitter profile. Jevon, it's during the middle of the season. I'm not saying don't go on social media at all, but don't go out there and spam your social media because people are going to respond to you. And then he gets upset with it and tells Dolphins fans to go touch grass. Remember when DeShon Elliott said that last year's Miami Dolphins team was soft? Yeah, I think I know who he was referring to, and it was one of those people in the safety room of Jevon Holland. It looks more clear day after day after day that Jevon Holland is a legit issue on this football team. I think he could be classified as one of the soft people in this locker room, and one of the reasons why this Dolphins defense does not play with the physicality required to win big football games. And with him being a free agent after this season, I think the Dolphins might be better off letting him walk. And I'll tell you more about that in just a second. But we are sponsored by Mando, and I can't wait to tell you guys all about it. My favorite whole body deodorant. And yes, it is whole body. It's safe to use anywhere on your body. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. And Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice, like many body wash and deodorant wipes, plus free shipping. And I got a couple products in studio to showcase to you guys at home. My favorite, just the standard stick deodorant, Mount Fuji scent, which is the best one in my opinion. Bourbon leather's solid, but I'm going to go with the Fuji every single time. And you also got the deodorant wipes, which helps on the go. I'm an active person. I like to golf, play basketball, and if I'm running errands afterwards or going to meet some people, deodorant wipes make sure I'm still smelling nice and good. So get started today with Mando. And as a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. It equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com. shopmando.com. Please support our show and our sponsor. Tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. All right, we talked about how bad Jevon Holland and Jordan Poyer have been this season. Well, when you think about what the Dolphins had at their safety room last season, letting DeShon, Elliott, and Brandon Jones go makes it look even worse for Chris Grier. I mean, these two have been absolutely sensational for their new teams this season. Jones is in Denver, Elliott's in Pittsburgh. They have been excellent against both the pass and the run. Now, Elliott has had a little bit of a tough season against the pass in comparison to Brandon Jones. And honestly, Elliott's not the best against the pass in general. Poyer and Holland have been slightly better in that area, but he is much better in terms of stopping the run. He is a physical safety that is not afraid to get his hands dirty inside the box and make plays around the line of scrimmage. I mean, you see them two both having 80-plus tackles. Like, they are getting their hands dirty. They're not missing many tackles. And we talked about Jevon Holland and Jordan Poyer being ranked 62 and 63 in the safety room. Well, look at these two. Brandon Jones is the 7th grade safety in all football. DeShon Elliott is 20th. It'd be nice to have these two right now, would it not? And we talked about the missed tackle percentage of both Poyer and Jevon Holland. How about this? Elliott maybe struggles a little bit in the pass game department, but he makes up for it for his domination in the run department. He has only 2 missed tackles all year long. That goes with 83 tackles right now. He has a missed tackle percentage of 2.3%. That is 7% less than Jordan Poyer and 10% less than Jevon Holland. You are obviously always going to keep Jevon Holland. He was a second-round pick in 2020. This current year is the final year of his contract. It's not like you're going to let him go or trade him by any means. But letting both Brandon Jones and DeShon Elliott leave in free agency and replacing them with Jordan Poyer was an absolute mistake. And looking back on it, it looks like front office malpractice. Like, you didn't even need to keep both of them. It probably wasn't feasible to keep both of them because of their contract wants. But you could have kept one of them to be the running mate of Jevon Holland this season. Instead, you let him go. You signed Jordan Poyer, who has been absolutely abysmal and will not be back with the Miami Dolphins next season. You can guarantee that because it was only a 1-year deal. And when you think about it in general, personally, I'm revamping this whole safety room in this offseason. You saw the starting duo of Holland and Poyer be this bad this year. I wouldn't bring back either of them. I would go with a completely different starting safety duo next season. You drafted Patrick McMorris in the 6th round of this past draft in April. Maybe you see what he has, sign a veteran, maybe draft another one in this draft, because you can't run it back with these two. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Bringing these two back, or honestly one of them back, and thinking things are going to change would be a bad decision. And before I look at what the other top free agent safeties are going to be, let me know if you would re-sign Jevon Holland to this team. It's going to come at a hefty price point. We'll tell you what that is likely going to be in just a second, but type S for sign or type P for pass. I think when you have to talk about Holland bringing or getting brought back, you have to bring up what he'd get paid. And as bad as he has been this season, as how much he's regressed over the last 4 years, I still think he's a top 5 free agent in this class, which just tells you how poor this free agent class is as a whole. And I think he's going to try to be a top 3, top 5 paid safety in all football, getting $18.5 million per season for a 4-year, $74 million contract. I think that's a very fair contract projection, and it's not overpaying him. And I don't really think it's underpaying him either. Like, he's a young guy. He's 24 and a half years old. Like, he's still got a lot of room to grow. I'm just all set on that. Because of where the Miami Dolphins are in their cap situation, projected only at $4 million in cap space going into free agency, but based off of cut moves, restructures, extensions, you could probably get closer to 25 to 40 million, somewhere in that range of cap space before free agency in March. I don't think it'd be worth allotting $18 million of that potentially to Jevon Holland. I just don't. And it's been tough to watch him regress year after year after year. It looked like a home run pick from Chris Grier in 2020 when you drafted him in the second round of Oregon. And then in his sophomore season, he was just as good. But in years 3 and year 4, it has been from here to all the way down here where you can't even see my hand on screen anymore. That's how much he has regressed over the last 2 seasons. And for someone who is probably going to try to pine for that $18.5 million per season contract and point to his rookie and sophomore season as the reason why he deserves that, I'm not really cool on that. Like, I would rather go somewhere else and maybe go for a cheaper, high upside type of play. Which, who could that be? Well, these are the top 6 safeties in free agency, in my opinion. I think Jevon Holland might be the most sought-after guy because of his age. Budda Baker is better, but he's also 28. Like I mentioned, Holland's 24. Some other guys that are intriguing. Justin Reed, he's a top 20 graded safety in all football this season. Julian Blackmon in Indianapolis has been solid this year. Jeremy Chin, a big-bodied safety. He's a more of a physical, run-stopping safety and not as good as a pass coverage guy, but he will get his hands dirty in the run game, can also play some linebacker if absolutely necessary. Then Trayvon Morrig's an interesting name. Graded around in the mid-40s, low 50s in terms of his PFF grades, but younger guy as well. I might be willing to take the chance on him on a cheaper contract if it allows that. And then you'd also have to look towards the draft, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm revamping this room. I think the Dolphins like the 6th rounder out of Cal and Patrick McMorris, and if they do like him, having him in this room with a veteran that they signed for agency and then they draft another one in the draft makes a lot of sense to me. The top safety, without a question, is Malachi Starks out of Georgia. And the Dolphins need to draft a guard, they need to draft a defensive lineman, and they need to draft a safety. I don't know what order they'll go in, but if the Dolphins are picking anywhere between 15 and 20, Starks might be off the board, but if they're picking between 10 and 15, that's kind of where I think Starks could go. Really good ball hawking safety. He would be a great replacement for Jevon Holland, and then you just need to replace Jordan Poyer in free agency. Kamari Ramsey out of USC, Xavier Watts. Sebastian Castro is an interesting name. Might be a day 2 pick. I like him. Any Iowa defensive back is always going to be someone I like as well. Kevin Winston Jr. is also an interesting name out of Penn State. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. As always, make sure you are subscribed because we're dropping daily coverage of the Miami Dolphins. We mentioned a lot of moves that might come in the offseason. Well, we'll be the #1 home for Dolphins news and rumors in the offseason as well as in the regular season. So hit that sub button because we still got 5 games to go in the regular season, and we'll be here for every step of the way.